Hello, my name is Kirsten Merrick, and I'm the founder and editor of Philanthropy Women. Today I'd like to talk about a recommendation that I needed to get many years ago when I was applying to graduate school. I was hoping to get my MFA in creative writing. At the time, I was working through the mail for this very well-known writer named So I thought, well, he's a big, powerful writer dude, so why wouldn't he give me a recommendation? I've been working for him for nearly 2 years, doing these little research projects, so I figured I'd ask him. So I called him up, and he agreed, and this is when I started to have my qualms. He sounded kind of lascivious on the phone, like something changed in his tone. He asked when I would be available to meet him in New York, so I gave him some dates, and he said I could call him when I got there to figure out where we would meet. And this seemed normal enough. We'd met at restaurants before, so I agreed. So I traveled to New York, and I called him, and he told me we would meet at his apartment. When he opened the door, I noticed he was wearing bedroom slippers. So it seemed this would be a brief meeting. I'd just give him the papers and go. He asked me to come in and sit down, and he offered me a drink. And it all went downhill from there. To be frank, I was sexually assaulted. I don't want to go into the details. I don't even like bringing it up in my memory at all. But one thing I do remember is that he told me to make sure not to tell the visiting professor at a program I was applying to and a colleague of his about what happened. He said he wouldn't like this. I wish I was only one in a million victims, but unfortunately, people, and especially women, experience this far too often. It happens when they're trying to make their way in academia, or when they're trying to climb the ladder at work, or when they're going to church, or just being a person walking down the street. Even though I've been a therapist for 25 years, and now I write about gender lens giving, I still haven't resolved this issue with myself. I didn't go to the police because I still wanted to write my recommendation. And of course, because I didn't, this was a major issue when I tried to get a lawyer later. And ultimately, I decided not even to go to graduate school for creative writing. When I met some of my professors, I had such a weird reaction. They seemed predatory, and the whole creative writing scene just felt dangerous to me. I can now see that this was my trauma manifesting into PTSD. Instead, I decided to go into social work. I would still do writing part-time, but I wanted to focus my career in a new direction. And now, it's nearly 30 years later. I had always expected other women to come forward before me, and that's what a lot of survivors hope for. But at this point, I just want to get my story out there. I feel a responsibility to be honest about what happened, and this is how I've decided to do that. So how do we fix all of this? How can we stop enabling predators and stop creating them altogether? The answer isn't simple. The systems in our society must work actively to keep predators out, especially out of positions of power. This includes teachers and professors and all people who act as superiors, especially in the lives of children and young adults. Even recently, it came out that Jeffrey Epstein was given keys to an office at Harvard from his contacts there, where he was able to groom future victims. Predators must be stopped before they are able to act. And sure, now more stories are coming out about abusers in the world, and there are hotlines available to survivors of abuse. But there must be more resources made available still. As a therapist, I can tell you that survivors are still not treated properly by the police. They are often dismissed, ignored, and discouraged from filing charges against their abusers. In the systems in our society, like schools, offices, and in every industry, there must be resources available to listen to and advocate for survivors. Finally, something that contributes greatly to the support of sexual predators is the strict gender norms that exist in our society. Anyone can be the victim of sexual assault. Gender norms cause strain on everyone to behave a certain way. They prevent members of the LGBTQ community from being themselves, and all of this leads to more trauma and abuse. Breaking down gender norms allows for more freedom of expression, emotion, and identity for everyone. All of these steps can create a world where we can stop sexual assault before it happens. Thank you.